Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 8 p.m. on LA56.
A vigil is being held tonight for the 5 Orange County teens killed in a fiery crash in Irvine. The search continues for 3 suspects accused of severely beating a man in the parking lot of Angels Stadium after Friday night's playoff game. And a huge fire
running towards another
building near Vernon threatens several structures. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jory Rand. Giovanna Lara is off tonight. Welcome to Eyewitness News on LA56. A candlelight vigil is underway tonight for the teenagers killed in a fiery crash while on their way home from Knott's Berry Farm. The 16-year-old driver was the only one to survive after that car careened off the 5 freeway and burst into flames. Eyewitness News reporter Melissa McBride spoke with the family of one of those young victims today.
Jenny Campos and Jenny Bahena took these pictures at Knott's Berry Farm just hours before the deadly accident. They were in this BMW that crashed on I-5 in Irvine and then caught on fire. The girls, along with teenagers Matthew Mello, Alex Sotelo, and Brandon Moreno, were killed. The only survivor was the driver, Bradley Morales. Jenny Campos' mother says her daughter did not have a cell phone. She waited up for Jenny to get home and later that morning had to go to work.
Rápido subí y
I panicked. I worked on the first floor, so I went up to find my supervisor, and I told him, "Here's the keys. I know something's wrong with my daughter."
A short time later, the family received the devastating news.
We had our quinceañera in July. There was about 300 and some people there. It was a happy moment, and 3 months later, something like this happening is just... It's hard for any of us to grasp.
Campos and Bahena were on the water polo team at Laguna Hills High School. Matthew Mello, Alex Sotelo, and Brandon Moreno all played soccer for the Mission Hills Soccer Club. Police say some of the teens may not have been wearing seatbelts in the car. Speed is one possible factor in the crash, but police say drugs and alcohol were not involved. Jenny Campos' mother is not only grief-stricken, she's now trying to figure out how she can cover the cost of burying her daughter.
She always had friends come over, and they would always play, and she was always alive and happy. And all of these memories are what I'm left with.
Melissa McBride, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
There was another candlelight vigil tonight at Roosevelt High School for some former students killed in another fiery wreck in Chino. 3 cars were involved in this crash. 5 badly burned bodies were recovered from the wreck, 4 of them from a pickup truck. One of the victims in the truck has been identified as 18-year-old Nathan Dominguez, 19-year-old Andrew De Leon of Miraloma, and 47-year-old Luis Mendoza of Corona, who was in a Honda Accord, have also been identified by the coroner. The driver of a Honda Civic survived. An Angels fan remains in critical condition after being severely beaten in the parking lot of Angels Stadium after Friday night's playoff game. So far, the 3 men involved have not been found. Eyewitness News spoke exclusively with a woman and her 15-year-old daughter who witnessed the entire thing. They say the victim was simply leaving the game against the Royals when he was suddenly attacked by another man without warning. The attacker fled with 2 other men. Those witnesses say they will never forget what they saw.
This man started running towards another and started beating this guy. He had 2 punches. The guy went down. He was out cold. And then he started beating his face in really bad on the pavement.
I was just so sick that I had thrown up. I had to sit down and I had thrown up because I was just so sickened by his actions.
The mother-daughter duo say they rushed to help the victim as the 3 men ran off. In a statement from the Angels today, they say their security response was immediate and that, quote, "the safety and fan experience is the focus of our organization." A 25-year-old man is dead after he ran onto the freeway and was struck by a driver who sped away. It happened on the southbound 101 north of Vaudreuil Avenue in downtown LA at around 1:40 a.m. The CHP says the Colorado man was meandering through traffic lanes when a car hit him and then kept going. According to witnesses, the victim appeared to be aggressively running towards traffic, trying to get himself run over. The hit-and-run driver's vehicle is described as a black Honda Accord. The victim's name has not yet been released. An apparent high-speed pursuit ends in a crash in El Monte. This was the scene at Maxon Road and Ramona Boulevard. It happened around 2:15 this afternoon. It all began after police spotted a vehicle that was reported stolen out of Ontario. 3 people were in that vehicle. When it all came to an end, the driver took off running, but officers were able to catch up with him. Another person in the car suffered major injuries. Police blocked off the intersection while they conducted their investigation. Firefighters were busy this afternoon battling 2 separate fires in commercial buildings here in Southern California. The first broke out around 1 p.m. in Los Angeles near the border with Vernon on the 3700 block of Union Pacific Avenue. A 50 by 25-foot pile of baled goods was on fire. Some nearby structures were threatened briefly, but LA City firefighters knocked the blaze down within 30 minutes. Shortly after 2:30 p.m., Riverside County firefighters rushed to the scene of a 2-story building fire in Yorupa Valley. The 4-alarm fire caused extensive damage to the inside and outside of the Aramark Uniform Services building there, and piles of clothing were burned inside the 25,000 square foot facility. Firefighters managed to stop the flames from spreading, and the fire was contained within an hour. Crowds packed the Raging Waters theme park in San Dimas today for a little relief from this fall heat wave we're seeing. This is the first time the park has extended its season into October, giving guests a fun way to cool off. Plenty of families took advantage of the extra chance to visit, but this was the final day the park will be open this year. Park operators promise plenty of new and exciting things for the 2015 season. Fun way to escape the heat today. Let's turn things over to Danny Romero now to see how long the heat will last. Hey, Danny.
How you doing there, Jory? I'll tell you what, probably another day or so of finding some place to get some relief from the heat because we're still looking at some warm conditions tomorrow. But things I want to talk about right now are the surf. You go to the beach to kind of escape some of the heat, but be aware of this. Tomorrow, from Ventura County, down to LA County, down to Orange County as well, a high surf advisory in effect. This in effect through tomorrow till 9 p.m. tomorrow. Very high surf. We're talking waves going 10 to 12 feet, some sets to 15. The other thing to watch for on the coast, the Orange County coastal spots, tomorrow morning right here in Orange County will be a dense fog advisory. Fog, very quarter-mile visibility or less, so very dangerous. Plan your morning drive accordingly as that dense fog advisory is in effect until Monday morning at 8 a.m. Now, beyond that, the temperatures start to change a couple of different times. I'll tell you about that when I come back with a 7-day in just a little bit. Jory, it's yours.
Okay, Danny, thanks. The first person to be diagnosed with the Ebola virus on U.S. soil has taken a turn for the worse. Meantime, in another city, a sick passenger is removed from a plane over fears of the virus. The CDC now reporting that the number of calls they received about Ebola have spiked from 50 a day to 800 a day. ABC's Ryan Owens has the latest.
Thomas Eric Duncan is struggling to survive tonight. The Liberian man is in critical condition. His family says he's unconscious, on a ventilator, and on dialysis after his kidneys failed. Duncan's girlfriend and 3 of her family members are in quarantine. I spoke to her by phone this morning.
I wanted to know that I am doing just fine in health, but I am worried. I want Eric to be taken care of. The medicine that they gave, the other Americans that came from Africa 2 days ago, they gave him the same medicine. I don't think Americans, they are doing enough to save him.
Supplies of that drug have run out, and the CDC says Duncan is not receiving other experimental treatment for fear it could make him even sicker. As for his girlfriend and her family, who lived with him for days in this cramped, contaminated apartment, they are taking their temperatures at least twice a day. So far, so good. Tonight, the CDC is monitoring 9 high-risk patients in Dallas, people who came in direct contact with Duncan. About 40 others here are also being watched, considered low risk, including a homeless man who police finally tracked down this afternoon. So far, Duncan is the only person ever diagnosed with Ebola in the United States, but in West Africa, the 4th American infected will soon be on his way home. This freelance cameraman for NBC News is expected to arrive in Nebraska tomorrow morning. No one is taking chances. Saturday, CDC investigators met a flight from Brussels at Newark International after a passenger from Liberia got sick on the flight. Fellow flyers thought it might be Ebola. It wasn't.
That was Ryan Owens reporting. We've just learned that tests for Dr. Rick Sackler, the man who has already survived Ebola, have now come back negative. He will be removed from isolation and continue treatment for an upper respiratory tract infection. Meantime, top government health officials say they are opposed to a ban on travelers from Ebola-infected countries, warning that shutting down borders could impede efforts by aid workers to stop the spread of the deadly virus. Right now, airline passengers in the outbreak zone have their temperatures taken as they board airplanes, but many doctors say that's just not enough.
If someone wants to spend a few pennies and buy Tylenol or ibuprofen, Advil, or anything, they can merely lower their temperature, they get by the screening, and they're on an airplane.
Doctors also say an Ebola patient can go up to 21 days before they exhibit symptoms. Some airlines are taking action on their own. British Airways has suspended all flights from areas dealing with the Ebola virus. We're now hearing from a family of 4-year-old New Jersey boy who died from enterovirus D68. This is little Eli Waller, who passed away last week. He was the youngest in a set of triplets. Eli's parents released a statement today thanking everyone for their support and saying they would like to start a foundation to help students involved in special education in Eli's honor. This is the first reported child death involving enterovirus in the country. It's unclear where the preschooler contracted the respiratory infection as of this point. New details tonight on a gruesome discovery in Mexico, a mass grave in a small town 120 miles south of Mexico City. 28 bodies have now been identified, all burned beyond recognition. There are fears that some may be the remains of 43 students who are missing after a violent clash between police and protesters last weekend. A Mexican prosecutor says one person who was detained claimed that 17 students were taken to the gravesite and killed, but that has not been confirmed as of now. DNA testing is underway. It is now Monday in Hong Kong, where, despite orders from the local government, many protesters remain in the streets. The pro-democracy activists have made a few concessions, agreeing to remove some barriers blocking roads and sidewalks. But many demonstrators have refused to budge heading into the new work week. According to the South China Morning Post, protest leaders and the government have begun preparing for talks, but have not yet been able to agree on guidelines for any meetings. After a 4-month break, the search has resumed for Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. Searchers are focusing in a desolate stretch of the Indian Ocean where they will be lowering new equipment deep beneath the waves. The first of 3 ships that will spend up to a year hunting for the wreckage off Australia's west coast arrived today. Crews will use sonar, video cameras, and jet fuel sensors to scour the water for any trace of that flight. The plane disappeared last March during a flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing with 239 people on board. A Southern California woman just wanted to fly her hot air balloon in her husband's honor, but thanks to some thieves, her treasured balloon and trailer were stolen. Her story and the fight to find that balloon coming up. And 2 shark attacks within a mile of each other will tell you what could be causing the sharks to come closer to shore. New at 8, a local woman is on a quest to find her stolen hot air balloon. Lucinda Wallace's husband, Rick, passed away about 10 weeks ago. She made the trek from Santa Monica to Albuquerque for the International Balloon Fiesta there and planned on flying the balloon she and her daughter helped design in Rick's honor. But their balloon and SUV were stolen out of a hotel parking lot yesterday.
They have taken something away from our family, and they've taken the joy that we were going to have in honoring my husband.
Meantime, Lucinda and her family flew back to their Santa Monica home to get another balloon and drive back to the fiesta in Albuquerque. 2 shark attacks today within half an hour and 1 mile of each other. It happened in Central Florida earlier today. The first victim was a 15-year-old boy surfing about 100 yards from shore. He was bitten in his right foot and was able to paddle back to the beach. The second attack happened about 30 minutes later. The 29-year-old surfer was bitten in his left foot. The victims both suffered deep lacerations. They were treated and released from the hospital.
The shark thought my foot was a snack, so I never thought it would ever happen, but here we are.
Officials say warm water and an ocean swell pushing small fish closer to shore are likely to blame. Time now to check in with Danny Romero for a full forecast. And is this heat ever going to end? Danny?
Yes, it will. But
good.
Just a quick question. Could you laugh about a shark biting your foot?
I think I could. It just, time heals all shark wounds.
Sure. Okay.
Isn't that how the saying goes?
Yikes! Here's the story for us. You want to avoid the water for many reasons tomorrow. High surf advisory is going to be in effect for us. In the meantime, enjoy. That's the place we're going to cool down somewhat. Our Irvine Spectrum camera shows OC looking pretty good tonight. Downtown LA also a little murky later on with some clouds moving in. Temps down to 76 degrees right now. Calm winds in 54% relative humidity. The change in the weather. First, what's getting us warm. The high pressure ridge that's been just camped over us for a few days with that offshore flow and the dry, hot conditions starts to change now the next few days. We move forward to Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday, and we'll see that ridge start to flatten out somewhat. So by midweek, we'll now see more of an onshore flow. Some marine layer clouds move in nights and mornings, adding some cool air pushed onshore to the coast and then to the valleys. We'll see numbers drop midweek, but then by the weekend, right back to the heat again. Here's numbers tonight, down to 62 at Redondo, 65 for Malibu overnight, 64 in Santa Clarita. Then the highs tomorrow. Another warm day, not quite as hot as triple digits, but still 96 in Santa Clarita, 93 in Pasadena. Redondo Beach goes to 81. Huntington Beach to 81 degrees as well, topping off there. And the Inland Empire warms up to 95 at Lake Elsinore, 94 at Beaumont. Here's the 7-day power by AccuWeather. Look at this. Clouds at the beaches to start tomorrow morning. But then by the afternoon, sunshine, warmer temps, 87 to 86 for Monday and Tuesday. Then finally, the marine layer sticks around a little bit longer, a little more of an onshore push, and now we'll see our highs in the lower 80s where they should be. It's as low as 81 by Thursday, but then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, here comes the heat once again, pushing our daytime highs to close to 90 degrees with an 88 on Sunday afternoon. Valleys in the Inland Empire, hot again tomorrow, mid-90s, a little less so, but still in the 90s on Tuesday and Wednesday. Finally, the marine layer influence works in, and we'll get temps down to the mid to upper 80s for Thursday and Friday. But by next weekend, once again, inland spots will see mid to upper 90s for the highs. Mountains will be great all week with 70s to start the week and down to the 60s for the highs by the end of the week and into the weekend with the overnight numbers. Here, watch out. I'm showing you 40s as average temps, but there are some areas that will be down in the 30s in the mountains overnight through the week ahead of us, feeling very, very fall-like numbers. Here's the look at the high desert there. It's going to be hot and breezy. 93 for the high tomorrow. Still some gusty winds on Tuesday as well. But then there are the numbers. For the desert, pretty mild temps to 87 on Thursday and Friday. And then just a slight bump back up to 89 by next weekend. Jory, the heat takes a little break and then comes back next weekend. Back to you.
All coming back. Thank you, Danny. Problems continued today with home delivery of the Orange County Register. The newspaper was flooded with complaints from customers who didn't get their papers this weekend. The Register says it underwent a transition to new independent contractors who were making deliveries for the first time, and they experienced difficulties with their routes. The Register is asking customers to submit delivery requests on the newspaper's website from a desktop computer. A pair of political visits to LA this week are sure to cause some traffic problems. First, Vice President Joe Biden will be here tomorrow, part of a two-day trip, including a fundraiser for female Democratic candidates and a roundtable discussion with LA Mayor Eric Garcetti. Police are already warning of closures on Santa Monica Boulevard tomorrow between 5 and 6. And then President Obama is scheduled to be here on Wednesday for a fundraiser at the home of actress Gwyneth Paltrow. A risky idea and a risky rescue still to come on Eyewitness News after a dramatic conclusion. Should this thrill seeker have to pay for the cost of his own rescue? And a story of determination and perseverance. What it took for this amazing woman to walk down the aisle on her wedding day. Michael Phelps is putting his swimming career on hold after his latest DUI arrest. The Olympic champion swimmer said on Twitter that he's beginning a 6-week inpatient program. His representative says Phelps will not compete through at least mid-November. The 29-year-old was arrested last week for drunk driving. He was also arrested for DUI back in 2004. Back then, he pled guilty and was sentenced to 18 months probation. A risky idea and one man's voyage across the Atlantic is over. It ended with a dramatic and very expensive rescue to save him. So should the adventure seeker behind it all have to pay for the cost of that rescue? ABC's Clayton Sandell with the story tonight.
It was billed as an impossible journey that in this moment lived up to its name, as adventurer and peace activist Reza Bellucci is airlifted to the safety of a Coast Guard chopper.
Now I figured out how to control left, right.
Bellucci's journey raising money for charity began September 30th when the 42-year-old climbed inside this human-powered hamster wheel-like bubble.
Reza will attempt to traverse over 3,500 miles of water and jungle.
But last Wednesday, the Coast Guard intercepted him. Concerned Bellucci was disoriented, low on food and water. They warned him to stop. He said no.
You understand by your refusal to terminate this voyage, you're putting yourself in grave danger on the high seas?
Bellucci finally ran out of steam Saturday morning 70 miles off the Florida coast, triggering his emergency beacon.
Because it was so complex, we elected to launch not only the H-60 helicopter, but also a C-130 patrol aircraft.
Those aircraft costing tens of thousands of dollars an hour. The lives of the crew worth far more, reopening the debate about whether people who put themselves at risk should have to pay. This California family came under intense criticism earlier this year when their one-year-old daughter got sick on a sailing trip. The U.S. Navy had to rescue them. Despite being warned, Bellucci will likely not have to reimburse the government because rescuers tell us they generally want people in life-threatening danger to call for help when they really need it without worrying about getting a bill. Clayton Sandell, ABC News, Denver.
A dream come true for an Iowa woman as her dad walks her down the aisle on her wedding day. But it was a dream that took a lot of hard work since she was left paralyzed 6 years ago in a car crash. Gina Giaffoglione, however, wasn't going to let that stop her. She wanted to surprise her guests with a moment no one would ever forget. After months of therapy, the day finally arrived. The crowd silent and in tears as Gina's father gave her away.
You're here, you're blessed, and if I can help somebody in some way to maybe look at their life a little bit differently and be blessed to have their own day, that's why I'm having a day in my eyes.
Oh, that's so cool. Gina has never let her accident stop her. This once determined athlete still coaches using her upper body strength. We are updating our top stories on Eyewitness News at 8:30 here on LA56, and a stunning crash caught on camera. An SUV smashes into a donut shop, leaving one person dead and injuring several others. We'll show you more of the dramatic video. Plus, an emotional plea by the parents of an American aid worker being held captive by ISIS. And 2 U.S. airmen are still missing after a typhoon washed them out to sea. We'll have the latest after the break.
Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 8:30 p.m. on LA56.
Our top story at 8:30, we're learning more about the teenage victims of a fiery car crash along the 5 freeway in Irvine. I'm Jory Rand. Giovanna Lara is off tonight. This is Eyewitness News on LA56. Tonight, friends and family are holding a vigil for 2 of the boys killed in the crash early yesterday morning. A total of 5 teens lost their lives in that crash. Matthew Mello, Alex Sotelo, and Brandon Moreno played soccer for the Mission Hill Soccer Club. Jenny Campos and Jenny Bahena were on the water polo team at Laguna Hills High School. The teenage driver, who is unlicensed, is the only survivor. Investigators say speed may be a factor in the crash, but that drugs and alcohol were not involved. An Angels fan remains in critical condition after being severely beaten in the parking lot of Angels Stadium after Friday night's playoff game. Witnesses say the victim was leaving the game against the Royals when he was suddenly attacked without warning. Police are still searching for the 3 men who are responsible for the assault. A car slams into a donut shop, killing a customer and injuring several others. Police still trying to figure out how the driver lost control. The crash occurred last night near DeSoto Avenue and Roscoe Boulevard in Canoga Park. Eyewitness News reporter Darsha Phillips spoke with the store's owner and has the dramatic surveillance video.
Surveillance footage from inside the donut shop shows the massive destruction as the driver of a silver Jeep Liberty plows through the store, barreling through everything and everyone inside.
I suppose it could be heard from a long way away. And when it comes crashing through the glass, the metal, and, you can see there's no chairs left. It just smashed all the chairs, except in the corner, it just smashed all the chairs.
Bruce Bowman was sitting inside the donut shop about 9:30 Saturday night when the window next to the parking lot exploded as the SUV crashed through the store.
Just like getting hit by a bunch of metal just pushing against you, at real high speed. Just feeling all the stuff. I mean, it was like time just slowed way down.
Bowman escaped with cuts and bruises, but 4 others inside the donut shop were seriously injured, and 1 person was killed.
The customer was one of our regular. He's a homeless guy. Comes in here for a small cup of coffee every night, and I let him charge his phone.
Many nearby residents who are regulars at the shop came to the scene.
We know the owners, and they're wonderful people. And, this is just terrible.
Witnesses say the driver, who has been identified as 42-year-old Kristen Chang of Granada Hills, finally stopped her car in the middle of DeSoto Avenue. She was taken to the hospital and released. It's not clear what caused Chang to lose control of her vehicle or if charges will be filed. Today, the owner of Jolly Donuts is trying to clean up and hoping for the best for his customers who were seriously hurt.
My thoughts goes out for them. I hope they're doing okay.
The donut shop has been here for more than 30 years, and right now the owner says he doesn't know when they'll be back open for business. Reporting from Canoga Park, I'm Darsha Phillips, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Our thanks to Darsha. A shooting at a Pomona restaurant drive-thru leaves 4 people injured. It happened last night outside Alberto's Mexican Food on Holt Avenue. Police say the victims were in a car at the drive-thru when they got into an argument with a group of men who were on foot. The 4 men in the car were shot. The suspects fled the scene. The victims were rushed to the hospital in stable condition. Police think the shooting may have been gang-related. The search is on for a suspect who stabbed a man in Seal Beach. Police got a call of a disturbance early this morning on the northeast corner of 8th Street and Ocean Ave. They found a 23-year-old man there with stab wounds to his stomach. He was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. The suspect is described as Hispanic, in his mid-30s, 5'5", about 180 pounds, medium to chubby build with short black hair and possibly a mustache. He was last seen wearing a plain charcoal-colored T-shirt and jeans. Anyone with information is urged to call Seal Beach Police at 562-799-4100. A 6-hour standoff with a man who allegedly threatened an elderly relative with a sword inside a Lake Elsinore home finally comes to a peaceful end. 47-year-old John Kirby was taken into custody by SWAT officers just before midnight. The standoff began yesterday afternoon on the 800 block of Graham Street. The Riverside County Sheriff's Department says Kirby refused to come out of the home and held his elderly mother inside against her will. After some coaxing from authorities, the suspect released the woman unharmed and himself gave up a short time later. Kirby is now facing several charges, including making criminal threats and assault with a deadly weapon. He's being held on $25,000 bond. Turning now to the fight against ISIS, the U.S. is stepping up with helicopter attacks near Baghdad. The attacks come as the parents of an American aid worker held captive by ISIS make an emotional plea for his life. ABC's Brian Ross has more.
The ISIS reign of terror marched on today, despite new U.S. airstrikes. And for the first time today, the U.S. sent in Apache helicopters to attack ISIS positions outside Baghdad, a clear escalation of the risk to U.S. personnel.
When you start using helicopters, you're down lower to the ground, you're closer to the threat. ISIS has been shooting down Iraqi helicopters, so the level of risk to U.S. air crews has gone up exponentially in the use of helicopters.
There was no word today about the fate of American hostage Peter Kassig of Indiana, threatened with execution on an ISIS propaganda video late Friday. Over the weekend, his parents, Ed and Paula, pleaded for mercy, revealing their son had willingly converted to Islam during his captivity.
Our son is Abdul Rahman, formerly known as Peter.
Kassig, a former U.S. Army Ranger medic, went to Syria to provide medical care, seen in a CNN report 2 years ago.
We each get one life, and that's it. You get one shot at this.
Kassig's mother, wearing a headscarf, spoke directly to her son.
Most of all, know that we love you, and our hearts ache for you to be granted your freedom so we can hug you again.
U.S. and British authorities are now analyzing this latest video of Kassig, questioning whether the man in the black mask is the same purported executioner known as Jihad John in earlier ISIS videos.
U.S. officials tell ABC News they believe they may have knocked out some of the propaganda units used by ISIS, but they still have no idea of the precise location of Kassig and some 14 other Western hostages, including one young American woman. Brian Ross, ABC News, New York.
According to the U.S. military, the United States has suffered its first casualty in the coalition fight against ISIS. 21-year-old Marine Corporal Jordan Spears is presumed dead. That from a statement from U.S. Naval Forces Central Command. According to the Navy, Spears and another crew member bailed out of a military aircraft when it appeared they might crash into the Persian Gulf on Wednesday. Search and rescue crews found the other crew member in the water but could not locate Spears. The Pentagon is still deciding how to classify his death. One U.S. airman has been confirmed dead while others remain missing off the coast of southern Japan after typhoon-powered waves washed them out to sea earlier today. The men were reportedly taking photographs of the large waves when the deadly wave hit. One body was recovered. The search for the other two has been put on hold as the U.S. Air Force says seas are just too rough. The powerful typhoon is now barreling towards Tokyo. So far, the storm has had winds of over 90 miles per hour and could bring up to 16 inches of rain in central Japan by Monday morning. Coming up next, getting a little help from her friends. Area firefighters come together to pitch in for a fellow firefighter battling cancer. We'll show you what they're doing. And celebrities come out to support an area children's hospital. We'll take you to the pier party next.
A nice day to hang out on the pier. What about tomorrow, though? I'll tell you what, we'll show you the 7-day coming up in just a bit.
A 21-year veteran of the LA City Fire Department is getting a lot of support as she battles cancer. Valerie Roberts underwent surgery for removal of a brain tumor, and now she's undergoing radiation and chemotherapy, leaving her extremely tired and sensitive to heat. To make her Long Beach home cooler and more livable, firefighter volunteers built an awning for her this weekend.
It means so much to me that they all donated their time and their effort, and just that showing how much they cared, it touches my heart.
The project was organized by Fire Family Foundation, which is also raising money to help with daily expenses related to her treatment. A star-studded day on the Santa Monica Pier as many celebrities came out to support Mattel Children's Hospital UCLA. This is the 15th annual Mattel Party on the Pier, the biggest fundraiser of the year for the hospital. Sarah Michelle Gellar was among the stars enjoying all of the fun today. Highlights included rides and carnival games, giving patients and their families a chance to enjoy the day outside. Disney star Catherine McNamara says she often visits the kids in the hospital.
Just going in and visiting with the kids and playing with them, they're such lights and they're so joyful even in the midst of whatever they're going through, and it's really amazing to get to talk to them and hang out with them and just help get their mind off whatever it is they're going through.
All proceeds will benefit programs at the hospital. Well, bikes ruled the roads in part of Los Angeles today. Still to come on Eyewitness News, we'll show you the turnout for this morning's Ciclavia. And coming up in sports, with one swing of the bat by Matt Kemp last night, the Dodgers may have just changed the momentum in their series against the Cardinals. Details straight ahead. It was no cars allowed through parts of Los Angeles today. The streets were clear for the 10th edition of Ciclavia. For several hours this morning, the roads were turned over to bicyclists and pedestrians. The party made its way through a 10-mile route including Echo Park, downtown LA, and Boyle Heights.
use this great public space that belongs to all of us. Just for a day, we're going to use it to bring us together, to create new communities, to create new bonds, and hopefully maybe even make some new friends today.
Today was also a celebration of the expansion of open street events into new parts of Los Angeles County, thanks to $4 million in funding from Metro. Well, it was a warm day out there today, but a good day to cycle the streets. Danny Romero is here now with a look at how long this heat is going to stick around.
Yeah, we're still going to stay on the warm side, Jory. Yeah, as far as riding bikes and exercise, as long as you're drinking lots of water, you're going to be okay over the next couple of days. But we will see the temperature start to drop down a little more comfortable numbers. LAX, we showed you there, pretty nice. Some clouds moving in on the way. Downtown sky still on the clear side, but expect some clouds to move in overnight tonight as well. Temperature-wise, downtown, 76 degrees. Calm wind, 54% relative humidity. And today, the numbers match up like this. 95 was our high downtown. 80 is the average temp for this date. We'll see tomorrow morning, sun rising up at 6:51. And the ridge of high pressure, strong and dominating our weather the last few days, bringing us those very, very hot temperatures and very dry conditions because of this offshore flow. It pushes all that cool marine air away from us, keeping us very, very warm. Now, it's going to start to change. We move ahead Tuesday into Wednesday. We'll see that high pressure ridge start to flatten out, allowing more of an onshore flow. That means that cooler marine air moves on to the beaches, bringing very dense fog tonight and tomorrow. We're going to have a dense fog advisory for Orange County beaches, but also cool air pushing inland by midweek, so everybody's temperatures drop down there, but only for a couple of days. Then the heat comes back next weekend. Here's the numbers tonight. 56 overnight in Apple Valley, 48 in Lancaster, some of the cooler spots. Everywhere else, we're looking at 50s and 60s. Highs tomorrow. Yeah, still warm, but not triple digits at least. 96 in Santa Clarita, 93 in Pasadena, Ontario to 95. Huntington Beach to 81, Redondo to 81 as well. Mission Viejo tops off at 90 tomorrow. Here's our 7-day powered by AccuWeather, and watch the numbers slowly change. Tomorrow, we'll see clouds at the beaches in the morning hours, 87 in the afternoon high when the sun comes out. Staying in that range on Tuesday. Then Wednesday, that's when that marine layer starts to move in, and we drop numbers down to about where they should be, to 81, 82 by Thursday and Friday. But as I mentioned, the heat returns Saturday and Sunday, back up, pushing 90 degrees with an 88 on Sunday afternoon downtown. Valley's Inland Empire, hot one again tomorrow, although not quite as hot with 100s. We're going to see mid-90s. Still the 90s on Tuesday and Wednesday, but the trend is dropping down to 87 on Thursday with a little marine layer influence on the inland spots as well, so see some morning clouds in those valley spots on Thursday morning. Friday and Saturday and Sunday, warming back up again to 95 to 98 by Sunday, pushing 100 one more time. Here's the mountains, and wow, a great mountain week. 70s to start Monday and Tuesday with some breezy conditions. And then the rest of the week, we look at temps in the 60s until a 70 on Sunday. Great fall-like weather in the daytime. Nighttime numbers, I'm showing you averages in the 40s. There will be some spots, overnight lows in the 30s. Cool, cold mountain air. Here's the high desert, hot and breezy for a couple of days, and 90s to 80s, and then staying in that 80s range all the way through into another sunny weekend coming up, so a little break from the heat, Jory. So get out and Ciclovia all you want. Back to you.
Sounds good. I'll get right on that. We are now exactly 1 week away from the AIDS Walk Los Angeles. The walk begins and ends at West Hollywood Park on Sunday, October 12th, 1 week from today. The money raised helps fund AIDS Project LA and more than 20 other AIDS service organizations. To find out more, call 213-201-WALK. or go to AIDSWalk.net. Several members of our ABC7 team will be there, so come out and join us and support a great cause. Kurt here now with a look at sports. You know, in baseball, $160 million just doesn't take you where it used to these days.
You know, it's funny you said that. When C.J. Wilson and Albert Pujols were announced, they had joining press conference. I'm just the messenger, Angel fans. You know, they were the first team in the playoffs. Today, they became the second team out. After finishing the regular season with the most wins in Major League Baseball, they didn't win one game in the playoffs as Kansas City swept them home. Royal fans busted out the brooms. Mike Trout quickly busted out his boom. First inning, he launches a home run. It was his only hit in 12 at-bats in the series. And that was a problem because so was lefty C.J. Wilson. He just wasn't right. Alex Gordon takes aim at Columbus, Missouri, bounces it off the wall, clears the bases with the bases loaded, and it's 3-1. Game 2 hero Eric Hosmer does it again, another home run, and this time the Royals were up 5-1. In this series, both teams hit under 200. Kansas City, the clutch hits, not the Royals. They were the Angels. They were a dismal 2 of 24 with men in scoring position. You see the final as Trout, Pujols, and Hamilton were a combined 3 for 37. Royals sweep the Angels out, winning 8-3. As for the Dodgers, last night they get 7 solid innings from Zach Greinke, but Matt Carpenter greets J.P. Howe with a 2-run homer. That tied the game. Carpenter is just killing the Dodgers. But in the bottom of the 8th inning, Matt Kemp, who's been sensational the past month, does a little Carl Yastrzemski, calls it, and it stays fair. And with that, that was the 3-2 game winner. The series is tied 1-1 with the next 2 in St. Louis starting tomorrow.
Really showed a lot of our character, showed a lot about who we are as a ball club. For us to get out of that 8th inning, Brandon League with a huge double play ball, and then Matt Kemp, who's maybe the MVP of the second half in all of the National League, the way he's carried us the second half. So just a huge swing, get us back in front, get the ball to Kenley with a chance to win the game.
We could definitely feed off of this win. This was big for us. The crowd tonight was unbelievable. They were loudest I've ever been a part of. I've been here for a long time, and I feel like we definitely do have the momentum, and you guys continue to go.
They need to win tomorrow, because if they don't, Mattingly has a huge decision whether to pitch Kershaw on 3 days rest.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's one team that can beat him, it's the Cardinals.
It's clearly the Cardinals, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Kurt.
You bet.
New tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. A spectacular crash when a hot air balloon plummets into the ocean off of Encinitas. We'll show you more of this dramatic video. California-based Hewlett-Packard is reportedly splitting into 2 separate companies. We'll have the details. Those stories and all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 newscast, Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. Ahead here on Eyewitness News, we'll tell you what topped the box office on this jam-packed weekend, and hotels are finding different ways to appeal to millennials. You can call them hip hotels if you so choose. Up next, what you can expect if you book a room. Two new movies enjoyed a big premiere at the box office this weekend, but in the end, Annabelle just couldn't scare off Gone Girl.
As you all know, my wife, Amy Elliott Dunn, disappeared 3 days ago. I had nothing to do with the disappearance of my wife. I have nothing to hide.
Gone Girl earned an estimated $38 million. The Fox thriller stars Ben Affleck as a man whose wife has gone missing and is based on the best-selling novel by Gillian Flynn. The possessed doll horror flick Annabelle was a close second with $37.2 million. The Equalizer was third with $19 million in sales. Box Trolls and The Maze Runner rounded out the top 5. The next time you stay in a hotel, you may notice some big changes. Some major chains and boutique brands alike are working to lure tech-savvy travelers, especially the millennial generation. What can you expect to see, and will the classic hotel model still exist? Consumer specialist Rick Romero has a peek into the future.
This is the new look of some U.S. hotels. Funky furniture, high-end decor, and travelers are taking note.
When choosing a hotel, my friends and I will steer towards a more modern and hip hotel.
20-something frequent traveler Paige Woodburn looks for trendy places to stay when she's on the go. Says hip is important, but being connected is a requirement.
When you stay at a hotel that's not as plugged in, you definitely feel the pain.
And that's something hotels are noticing. Tech-savvy travelers Paige's age, 18 to 36, now make up about 43% of guests.
If hotels were to miss out on this age group, they would be basically missing out on the future of hoteling. And what they're doing is really changing the hotel experience from check-in to check-out.
Hotel trends expert Daniel Levine says the future of hoteling includes digital wonderlands, rooms where every bed, even these bunk beds, has its own TV. Check out these in-room laptop safes and personal tablets. This Intercontinental Hotel features interactive tabletops in the lobby. At some properties, checking in can now be done on a touchscreen kiosk, or get this, with an app. And some hotels have apps that let you book rooms. This W property will soon substitute smartphones for room keys. And this boutique hotel is working on Wi-Fi that follows you outside when you leave. But with all these cutting-edge and contemporary changes, will the classic hotel model still exist?
It's not like all hotels all of a sudden in the future are going to be like this. There's going to be different brands that are catering to different people.
As for Paige, she likes the brands that are plugged in and offers service at her fingertips.
My generation is used to fast everything. We want to get where we're going and do it quickly.
Hotels geared toward millennials may be less expensive than a traditional hotel, but the rooms may be smaller too. That's because hotels want people to enjoy their larger common areas. Some other well-known chains making changes geared toward millennial-age travelers include Marriott and Radisson. This is Rick Romero, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Pretty cool. A new museum geared towards vintage gamers. The Replay Amusement Museum in Florida features classics such as Pac-Man, Pinball, and Tron. The museum also has a few surprises like Fix-It Felix Jr. from the film Wreck-It Ralph. It's not even a real game, but a special version was created just for the museum. I'm just wondering if they have Frogger, because we can all agree Frogger is the best. That's it.
If you say so.
And thanks for joining us for the doc at 8 o'clock on LA56. We'll see you back here at 11 on ABC7.